Hi guys, today I've put together a list of arguments to why you should not buy full bottles of perfume, and especially not at full retail price, because I'm kind of on a mission. I want to be sort of an influencer that works differently than the ones out there that are completely monitored by the big brands. And you know, maybe people make a living off of this and I don't, but I just want to be totally honest, and I want to be able to say to people, you know, what's worth the price and what isn't. Of course, these are my opinions, but I know a lot of us in our Swedish community, a lot of people, you know, tend to go way overboard in collecting fragrances, and like a lot of people I know have more fragrances than they can ever use up in a lifetime. So that's kind of given me the inspiration to be kind of a spokesperson for, like, you know, reflecting on, do I really need this? Is there a better way? Can I get my hands on this juice for a better price, etc.? So, but before we do that, and I jump into that list of arguments, maybe some of them don't apply to you, but maybe you can cherry pick, and some of them might hit a spot, you know, hit the nail on the head for you. I just want to say kind of what I'm wearing today, what I've been wearing lately, some new sort of insights about my taste and how to wear perfume in a little bit different way and get a new experience. Today I'm wearing Artemisia from Penhaligon's. I left the bottle upstairs, but I wanted to mention that. And I'm going to be better about repeating the fragrances that I mentioned, because I find that I've been watching a lot of content lately, and I find myself often like listening to reviewers rather than like looking at them. Like I'll listen to Ramsey. He has really long videos. They can be sometimes like 2.5 hours. So I listen to him in the car or, like, you know, while doing housework. And I know what he looks like, and I know that he sometimes, you know, shows the bottles, and sometimes I'll, you know, interrupt my work and I'll look at what he's showing. But I find that I would like for him to repeat what fragrance he's talking about, like when he's ready maybe with describing it. I'm going to try to remember to do that myself. Like not just mention it at first and then give like a 20-minute description and then not mention it again, because I've kind of sometimes I've lost, I can't remember what he was talking about, or I maybe, you know, he said a little bit unclearly some of these names, you know, they're French, and to listen to an American say these French names, it can be, I think it could be, you know, emphasize the name again. So that I'll try to do. I think that would be easier at least than to, you know, to work with the video and edit and put the name up on the screen afterwards, because that does, I find that takes a lot of time and it takes the joy out of it for me. And I've noticed, you know, watching Ramsey, who I've really been digging into lately, that I don't really care about the technical quality. And if I don't care, there must be other people out there that don't care so much either. I mean, he even uses his phone. I at least have a little microphone that makes the sound slightly better. I'm using my computer. I don't use my phone. So maybe, you know, this quality is good enough, you know? And of course I can improve, but that's my, I think I've been, the reason I haven't been posting lately, I'll just say a few words about that. I had my daughter's graduation Friday. That was a lot of work. I made food for 45 people. I mean, I had to get a present. I had to get a special, we have their little picture of them, like baby pictures up on a like a sign so that they can find us in the crowd, and they all kind of run out of the school kind of on their last day. Oh God, it feels really emotional just talking about it. I think these are the days when I like miss my husband the most. He passed away. It's been almost 7 years now, but when I see all the other dads, you know, yeah, it makes me sad, but it was a great day, and I'm really happy about, you know, I really worked on the house. I had like knee-high weeds all around the house. I had not like weeded anything. And then the driveway, I have these little kind of like cobblestone, but they're flat. And they're like moss starts growing in between them, and like little weeds shoot up. And I worked so hard. I have this like high pressure washer thing that I've been really going at these weeds, and yeah, my body has been sore, and there's been really no time for making videos. But I have used, oh, I dropped something here, this paper of arguments. But I've been wearing fragrance, of course. I've been comparing fragrances. I've been buying fragrances. I've been letting some fragrances go. I mean, I'm always kind of rotating things. First, I'll give you a little update on guidance from Amouage. I bought this. I got it at a pretty good price. I mean, like, say like $100 off, what like the official retail price. well, this is one argument. You should never pay full retail because you can, maybe Chanel, like this very, very seldom goes on sale. Like, but then maybe you can find it, you know, a partial from someone in your local community or, you know, secondhand. I just wanted to say a few words about this. This is not a safe buy and buy. Not that any fragrance ever is, but my friend had it. She came and helped me with a graduation, by the way. That was incredible to get her work. And I said, you have to try this before you go home. So we went upstairs and kind of snuck off from the party, and she tried this, and she said it gave her, later she told me, it gave her a raging headache. And the performance of this fragrance is just incredible. I mean, I can feel it like lingering in the room where I've sprayed it, like days after. And I also noticed that it kind of like sticks to my watch. Sometimes I put my watch on and then I'll spray after that because I'm getting like, wait a minute, I smell Guidance. Guidance by Amouage. I'm gonna say it again just in case anyone's listening to this and not watching. I can smell it from the watch because I didn't understand where the smell was coming from. And then, wait a minute, my watch smells like this perfume like days after. So this is, you really, really have to go easy on the trigger of this one, like maximum 3 sprays. If you put 3 sprays on, it'll stay for like 20 hours. I mean, it's such an incredible, this is a weird fragrance. I mean, I love it some days. Other days I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know. It's weird, but I'm happy that I have it, and I'm sure that I can probably decant some of it for some people. I also have another new fragrance in my collection. My friend Clara gave me this for my birthday. This is a discontinued Swedish fragrance. The house is called Neo-Tantric Fragrances, and I don't know what's tantric about these fragrances really. This smells kind of like a Dior Homme type fragrance. It's like an iris, kind of a masculine leaning. It's the man version. It's called Manic Love for men. There's also a Manic Love for women, but this is Neo-Tantric Fragrances Manic Love for men. And if you can see the bottle, it is like, you can see the tantric kind of association to the brand. The whole brand has like gone out of business. You can still find these around. And if you're Swedish and watching this, I see them sometimes. I saw the woman one on Herrera, which is kind of like eBay in Sweden recently for a fair price. And I'm so happy about this one. It's really, really nice. And I don't have any Dior Homme fragrances. I'm just going to spray just a speck there to refresh my memory. I try not to talk about discontinued and unavailable fragrances on this channel, but no, sometimes I do. It's a really, really nice, super easy grab fragrance. Very happy to have this. And she's had this in her collection for like 10, 12 years or something. And I know she stores her fragrance as well. So it's completely, it's just perfect. I will wear that a lot. Let's see what else I've been trying. Oh yes, I wanted to say something about, sometimes with certain fragrances, you have to wear a lot to be able to get any projection. I haven't really experimented with that. I've just been complaining. This is fragrance is called Fauny. It doesn't even say on the bottle, actually. It doesn't say Fauny, but I know it's Fauny. Fauny from the Italian house, Angela Chiampagna. So this is a bubble gum, an elegant, sophisticated bubble gum white floral with a kind of a little bit of an incensey base, like a Middle Eastern kind of base a little bit. Super soft and beautiful. I mean, I love this fragrance so much, but the projection, the performance really suck. Not as bad as, I mean, other people seem to be able to smell it more than myself, but I tried the other day putting like 12 sprays on, and it does make a huge difference. So, I mean, I can go through this pretty quick. This is a 100 ml bottle. It's pretty pricey, these fragrances. They're like, I think I paid like $250 for this, or euro. I bought this in Budapest at Cherry Garden last summer. The sprayer on this, the Atomize, is really terrible. But, I mean, it's a very unique fragrance. It doesn't remind me of anything. If I was blindfolded and someone put this under my nose, I would immediately be able to say this was Fauny. It's not similar to anything else that I have. So that was one inside. And then I tried the same with Santal Complet from fragrance du Bois, which I think is has terrible performance as well. But when I put on 12 sprays, it actually did project. And it probably lasted at least for like 3 hours. It didn't disappear right away, at least, and neither did this. So that's, and then in the opposite way, my last experience with Ani from Nishane, I only have a decant. I've never gone full bottle on this. I've always been a little bit on the fence because it's a pretty strong fragrance, and I tend not to reach for my decant that much. But then Clara, my friend, said that she was really enjoying Ani, and she said that the way to go is to just use one spray and then just kind of like, you know, make sure you get a little bit all over, and then it's just perfect. Because last time I tried this was after a retreat. I had been like in a meditation retreat for 5 days, and all my senses were really like heightened. I was just really sensitive and vulnerable. And the smell, I put on like 4 sprays of this or something, and I was just totally choked out. And I thought maybe I'll never, ever be able to wear this again. But I decided to try this one spray thing. Actually, I got such a small first spray from the decant, so I did 2. And I kind of put them on I put these 2 drops kind of on my inner arms, and I really enjoyed it. And a brightness came out. I mean, maybe it's the ginger. I think there's some citruses in here too. It's not only like a real spicy vanilla. It worked. It worked in the heat. We're kind of having a heat wave here in Sweden. I think today it's going to be like 27 degrees Celsius later on today. But Ani, if you don't use too much, it's really, really beautiful. I don't think I'll ever go full bottle of Ani though. I don't know. I just think it's not, I think I'm just not for sweet fragrances. And speaking of sweet, I also have tried, let's see, where did I put that? Iris Empire by Carolina Herrera. It's from her exclusive line. These also came from Julia in the States that gave me all these vintage fragrances, but she also included some current formulations. I'm going to get back to you on, I've been trying them a lot. Some of them I absolutely love, and some I struggle with. I find them a little bit dated and kind of grandma-ish. But I want to give you like a proper video on these, even though that's not really the main purpose of my channel. I don't like to talk about things that aren't available, but or that are really hard to find. But I will make an exception because I think that they're worth mentioning. So Iris Empire that came out in 2020 is an iris and violet based fragrance with a gourmand base. It has leather, it has chocolate, it has some other sweet notes. Let me see. What I do is I'm kind of a note taker kind of person, because I think just like when I was studying, if you write something down, you learn it. I don't really make these notes to be able to, I do go back to them actually, because when I'm trying things, the most recent things I know that are at the end of this little book, they're kind of, I always get myself like a nice little like leathery book, like a nice quality notebook. Okay, so Empire has cinnamon and Davana in the top. And Davana is like a kind of a sharp, bitterish, herbal kind of note with a balsamic undertone. I could never have picked that out. But I mean, I would not buy this. And the reason, I think it's just too sweet. It has in the base leather, chocolate, patchouli, benzoin, and olibanum. I mean, it's really, really modern. But I agree with Ramsey when it comes to like a lot of modern fragrances are kind of taking that people-pleasing sugar shortcut. He didn't put it in those words, but I think that that's kind of what he means. Like there's something sweet in everything. I think that's why he hates Xerjoff, because Xerjoff has a typical ambery vanillic kind of base, and they throw that into everything. And I really like that because I don't think that they go overboard. Xerjoff's fragrances are not overly sweet in general. I mean, I just got rid of Lira from the Casamorati line because I found that to be too sweet. I don't wear those kind of sweet fragrances, and I don't think I would wear Iris Empire either. It's a little bit like Iris Malîkhan from Maison Crivelli, but minus the earthiness there. It has no like carrot seed or like oak moss kind of quality. This is just, it's kind of, I'm trying to think if it reminds me a little bit of Absolute Aphrodisiac, because the notes are a little bit similar, or they're a little bit overlapping, but that one I find more animalic, and I can appreciate the sweetness when it comes together with animal notes. But in this fragrance, it just, I don't know, it's just not, I just think it's too sweet, too sweet. I like sweet fragrances if they are like naturally sweet, like from florals, or if they're combined with other like heavy things like ouds or animalic notes. And here it's more like, it's a little bit, I think it's a little bit too gourmand for me. Let's see what else. Oh, another one that's too sweet was Magnificent Gold from YSL. I was considering swapping this for Santal Complet, and because I never wear that, but she decided that the performance was too bad on her, and I decided that I didn't want this because it's too sweet. And I compared it to Desired, which I'm going through a sample of from Elixir, Desired, because they both have saffron and they're both fairly sweet and oriental leaning fragrances, Middle Eastern style, I should say. So I will not be, I think, I don't know, I'm not really a gourmand kind of person. Okay, so 2 other fragrances that I've been trying lately. I tried them yesterday. I had one on each arm all morning, and I've tried them. That was like the 3rd time I tried them. Are from Maison Violet, which is Natalie Lawson's company. I don't know if she's just the perfumer for this company or if it's her own company and her own brand. I'm not sure. But this is like an older brand, I think, that has been I don't know, they've kind of modernized it. Because one of these fragrances, Complement, is based on like a really old fragrance, and it used to be called Compliments. And this compliment refers to compliments that you give yourself. And I think that's why they kind of dropped the S, because it's like the compliment to yourself, this fragrance. The other one is called Sketch. And Complement, the first time I sprayed, it was like, oh, this is just another tuberose. I don't need this. This has been done before. But I think that the more I wore it, the more I really think it's beautiful. But I have Carnal flower. And I guess I'm still a little bit sensitive to tuberose after getting completely put off by wearing too much Rouge Malachite from Armani Privé. I can't do Rouge Malachite. It kind of made me almost, I got choked out by the sweetness of that fragrance. It was just too tropical. It was too much. It was too everything. But this, now I've learned to love this, and also Moon Bloom by Here I'm Green, because they have like a kind of a green feel to it, where the tuberose doesn't go, it's not just a tropical candy sweetness. It has more character, and it has a little bit of a coconut vibe, this one. And Complement, I just don't feel like I need it. I'm just going to spray it just to remember what I think I read someone had written an article on Fragrantica and said that, you know, it is a white bouquet of florals. There are other florals in here. I think it has gardenia and jasmine, and the one who wrote this article said that she or he could not pinpoint, you know, which one was the most dominant for them. But for me, it's definitely tuberose. That was the first thing I thought of, and it was like, oh, another tuberose. But if you're looking for a good tuberose, I think this is one that you could compare with. Like try Narcotic V from Nasomatto, try Lys 41 from Le Labo. I used to have that. I gave the rest of my bottle. I only had a little bit left to my daughter, because I find like I kind of grew out of that. It was too simple. It's beautiful, but it doesn't really do it for me anymore. I needed something more challenging. But that might be one to compare with. It depends on what you're after. Carnal flower. Here I'm Green, a little more advanced, maybe. I mean, there are some good ones out there. Don't just take the first best one. Maybe Complement will be your favorite. I don't know for sure. The other one, I felt a little bit the same way. Oh, just another amber. It's called Sketch. But I just sprayed it on just before I started filming here. And it's really beautiful. I mean, it has a little bit of nutmeg. It has florals. It has kind of a butteriness. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. I'm going to see what I wrote about it here. I tried it. Let's see, Sketch. Yeah, I tried that one first, because I think ambers, I basically, every time I try an amber, I'm like, oh, this is pretty. Oh, it's an amber. But do I need it? Because I have certain ambers in my amber floral, slightly mentholated. Someone had written in a Fragrantica review, and I think I can kind of get that, because there's a little bit of a brightness, a coldness on the top that is kind of interesting. It's a little bit dusty. It's dry, like it's not too sweet, but there's for sure a sweetness. I think the closest thing in my collection that I have is L'eau d'ambre extreme from L'Artisan Parfumeur, which is which is really pretty. Like, I have this, so I don't really need other heavy ambers. I mean, you can only have so many ambers. I mean, in the dry down, sometimes I can't really tell the difference. I think I even made a video on that. If you've smelled one amber, you smell them all, which is not completely true, but this is a really easy light amber that works in the summer. I'm going to spray a little more on here. It's completely different from Ambra Calabria from Nishane, because that has a saltiness that I'm not sure about if I would want a full bottle, but I think it's beautiful. There's a little bit of there's something a little bit animalic about this. There's a nutmeg. So there's something in here that's like, is a little bit animalic in the opening. I mean, and I have the other one on the other side. I think maybe this one from L'Artisan Parfumeur, L'Eau d'Ambre Extreme, for those of you who are listening, is a little bit more resinous. It's a little bit more of a classic amber, but it has like a floral mid. And so does Sketch. It has rose and tuberose in the middle, but it doesn't smell like tuberose to me. Not in any like irritating kind of way anyway. It's really pretty. I recommend that house. I'm like 2 good first impressions, and I've also tried their one. I think it's called Abîme. I think it's their fig, or if it's an incense fragrance. I can't remember. Wait a minute, is it a Palo Santo fragrance? I can't remember. I just remember liking it. So I have like 3 first impressions, and they're all good. So I want to try the rest of the house. I think this house might be sort of like Maison, in the way that they're really easy reaches, easy to wear, kind of beautiful fragrances. It makes sense actually to have a big bottle of easy grabs, but it doesn't make sense to have a whole bottle. Actually, it doesn't make sense for me to have a whole 100 ml bottle of this Guidance, because it's so, I mean, 3 drops, 3 sprays goes such a long way. I mean, I will not get through this in 2 decades. But you never know. I mean, I really appreciate having a people-pleasing perfume that lasts for so long, that I know. Actually, I still haven't found like a fragrance that really lasts when I dance, because when I start to sweat, it just goes. It's gone. And I found the same with this. Actually, in that special, it will stay on clothes, but it did not stay on my skin after dancing with it. I think I found actually that Metallique, but this was in the winter. From Tom Ford is actually a really, really, has really, really good longevity if you want to still smell after you've been sweating. Okay, and I wanted to also mention a few more fragrances. One that I thought was so incredibly beautiful. It's called Rose Arabia White from Widian, Widian. It's kind of a Middle Eastern brand. I'm not sure I think they're from the United Arab Emirates house. This is, my God, this is beautiful. It's like a heliotrope. I have to find somewhere to spray this it's really, really light and sheer, and you need a lot to be able to get a good experience. Like you need to spray like 10, 12 sprays, but it's incredibly beautiful. It was love at first sniff. It's pretty reasonably priced, but it kind of behaves like an eau de cologne. It's like 140 euros for 100 ml, which isn't bad at all. I mean, the fragrance is, it's like powdery. There's a little bit of a marshmallowy kind of vibe, but it's still not too sweet. It's a little bit like white linen fresh, but it's a heliotrope fragrance. So there's a little bit of that almondy quality, but it's like not overly sweet at all. This would make a perfect fragrance for a bride, except that you need someone to walk after the bride and keep reapplying fragrance on her, or maybe spray a little bit of the veil or something. But it is, I mean, I've only had 2 ml, but I've gone through this really, really fast, and it doesn't stay, which would make me a little hesitant to pay that price for something. And a lot of people on Fragrantica are marking this as either way overpriced or overpriced, probably considering the longevity and the performance, which is actually quite terrible. And these are the kind of things I think are really important to mention, that you should know this. If you're after, you might really, be interested in something like this, but you need to, I mean, performance is a part of that. Then I've also been trying these, I have these ouds from Cartier. I should be trying to work on my French. I have like 56 days streak in Duolingo practicing French, and it's time to start pronouncing these things right. Okay, so I have oud et menthe, oud et ambre, and oud et santal. You can kind of hear what they're about. One has mint, one has amber, and one has sandalwood with oud. But there's not much else in these. But oud actually does do really well in the heat. I've been wearing these and I've been really enjoying them. And although I don't like samples that don't have spray in general, I do like these. I think they're so beautiful and elegant, and they're really easy to put on. I mean, look at this. It's like, I'm probably mixing perfumes now, but like just a drop will come out. And I mean, that the whole thing doesn't run out. Now that did kind of run down my hand, so I wasn't demonstrating it well, but at least you don't lose it all. You know, you get like a drop, you get like a serving size. So I do like them, and they very generously gave me all of these when I went into I walked into I had to stand behind this little red rope, and this bouncer guy would, let me in, and someone personally took care of me, and I said I was interested in some fragrances, and they gave me these 3, and they're like 3.5 mil each. So I got like all this for free. I mean, this has kind of a high value. I do think that they're overpriced though. But some people say that the ouds from Cartier are really, really special. They're very easy to wear. They're not so animalic. And the mint one is not that mint. I mean, you can smell it in the opening, but when it dries down, it's fairly like you're just kind of wearing like a low-key kind of oud going on, which is really nice. They're really nice. I really like them. I'm glad I went back and revisited them. One of you guys who watch my channel told me that these are the best ouds. I have to go back, and I'd said that they're not worth the price, and I still don't know if I think they're worth the price though. Anyway, okay, a few more things that I've been wearing. I wanted to wear in the heat my Andy Tower L'Heure du Désert du Marocain. I'm not quite sure I said that right. LDDM. Let's say LDDM. This one, I had kind of written this off as being, I wasn't ready to get rid of this little squirt that I have here, but I thought it was a little on the masculine side, and I wasn't sure about, but it is really beautiful. I thought it was too much cuming. I think I went back to my notes and I had written that it was too much cuming, but now I no longer think that, and I think it works really well in the heat. I wore it the other day when I was going on a bike ride, and I was kind of sweating. I was getting, I had it on my arms, and it was kind of coming against me in the hot wind, and I love it. I think it's great. Really, really good. Really, really good. And it's good right away. You don't have to wait for the greatness. It's like there, just right away. So I'm glad I went back to that one. Then I've also had the chance to, God, I haven't even gotten into the main theme of this video. What did I do with my note? I have some notes here. Okay, so I got the chance to try another fragrance from Atelier Materi, an Italian house that also has this fragrance that I've been talking about like in every other video, called Cacao Porcelana, that's on my wish list. And I found a place that sells like 10 milliliter decants, because no one is decanting it here in Sweden. I put it out on a website or on Facebook, and no one has contacted me. And usually we can find people that have everything, but not this house. It's not that big. So, but this is Santal Blonde. And it does, I think Cacao Porcelana is a little bit louder, even though I do struggle with the performance of that fragrance. But that one is super, super unique. This one is not. Yet it is extremely natural smelling and beautiful. And this makes me really want to explore the rest of the house. So I am considering getting the Discovery set. I think you can like choose the fragrances, but they only have like 7 fragrances or something, or 8 maybe. And you get to choose maybe 6. I can't remember how many you got to choose. And now I've tried these 2 already. I mean, this is a beautiful sandalwood. Many describe it as being very close to Santal Blush from Tom Ford, which I used to own a bottle, no longer do. I never wore it for some reason. I like it. To me, it smelled a little bit too much like a wood shop. This one is a little bit more wearable. It has a little cardamom. It's fresh. I find this more fresh than some, but I haven't done a side-by-side. I haven't worn that in a while. And I've never regretted letting it go. And I let things go like all the time, and I don't regret it. I heard Ramsey like never has sold a bottle, and he just keeps adding to his collection. But I think that he probably should, because he also talks about his taste changing. And I'm sure that it changes in both directions. Like things will grow on him, but he will also grow out of things. I mean, he does own a bottle of Fève Délicieuse from Dior. And he says himself, this is just way too sweet. It's like a super sweet Tonka fragrance, like a gourmand, gourmand, really, really gourmandy fragrance. And I think he's going to let that one go. But I mean, it could be time, you know, lack of time or whatever. But I have no problem letting things go. I very rarely have regretted it. And I mean, if I really regret it, I guess I'm a little bit influenced by Marie Kondo. You know, I don't know if you know her. She's kind of a declutter kind of influencer, author. She's written books. She's had TV programs, and she does, if you want to find out more about her, she spells her name with a K, so it's Kondo, Kondo, but she, I'm sure she wouldn't recommend holding on to fragrances that haven't been worn in the last 6 months. And she doesn't recommend, you know, keeping books. If you haven't read them in 5 years, you're not going to read them in the coming 5 years. And if you really want to, you just go buy it, because it has to be weighed against the space that it takes up, you know. Oh God, now my cat is starting to meow. I might have to let him out and then continue. Okay, so let's jump into, okay, so I was also a little bit, before I jump into this, I was a little bit like thinking, you know, after watching Ramsey so much, that maybe I should not post videos. I mean, why should I post videos when we have Ramsey? But he, you know, he has his taste. He keeps talking about the same perfumes that are his favorites, and he's into a particular masculine style. Not only he wears masculine and or vintagey perfumes, or, you know, like artisanal kind of like Enzar Oud and Arige Ledre, and, you know, like really special, challenging perfumes. And I do appreciate his knowledge a lot, how he always like refers to, you know, what fragrances are inspired by which ones, and this is a take on this, and this came out in this year, and which one came out first. If two came out at a similar time, he'll be sure to know like which one came first, because he wants to give the cred to the ones that actually came up with the idea, which I really like, this kind of like going back to history and giving the perfumers the cred they deserve. The appreciation of quality ingredients, and I mean, he knows the difference between, you know, real sandalwood, like Mysore sandalwood, and like a synthetic version, which I really don't. But I haven't really gotten the chance to. But I thought maybe I've been watching a little bit too much of other people's content rather than like getting out my own fragrances and training my own nose, because I do want to learn. And watching other people create videos is not always the best way to learn. It has to be combined, I think. So anyway, I think my contribution to this YouTube world of fragrance is more like telling you guys that the emperor sometimes is not wearing any clothes, you know? I don't know, I was just watching this video of these two people. I think she calls herself Curly. Let's see, Curly, it's not Curly Fragrance, Curly Scent, Curly, her name's Curly something. And I guess she's friends with Demi Rawling, and she and her boyfriend, I think it was commenting like on 8 fragrances that Demi has recommended, and given their view on that, which I think is, I mean, when I know that they're like friends, already then I'm like, okay, is this really, I mean, for example, they were going on and on about how Apollonia was an incredible fragrance, Apollonia from Xerjoff, but not mentioning anything about the shitty performance. I mean, it has no performance at all. You spray it on and you can't find it on your skin. It's that bad. It's like super, super weak. It's weaker than Rose Arabia White I was talking about. Terrible, terrible performance. I mean, who wants to pay that kind of money for something you can't even smell after 5 minutes after you've sprayed it? That has to be mentioned to me. It has to be weighed into the 10 out of 10, or they were giving it 11 out of 10. That to me is just like, okay, can we just face the fact that the emperor is naked? Great fragrance, but really shitty longevity. Just say it, you know? How hard can it be? Okay, so I have put together some arguments about why you should not buy full bottles of perfume, and especially don't go and buy Apollonia now just because these people with 185,000 subscribers have said that it's good. So I think that if the more subscribers an influencer has, the more you need to think like, wait a minute, what else could be involved here? So that's a good, first number one to think about. But my first argument is for buying a 100 ml bottle, like this size, you'll never finish it. I mean, if you have like me, many, many fragrances, but I have actually managed to keep my collection of full bottles, and full bottles I consider to be 30 ml or more, under 50 still, after like 4 years of being really, really passionate about perfume. Number two, your taste will change, maybe several times before you finish it, and it can be, you could get bored with it, and that happens to me actually. When you figured it out, like that happened to me with Ex Nihilo's Honoré Delights. Like when I'd figured that out, I didn't want to wear it anymore. It was like, I know this fragrance. It's beautiful, but it gives me nothing. And another fragrance that's like, even if a fragrance is beautiful, I tend not to want to wear it. I'm going to give you an example. This fragrance, Lorelei, was created by Shelley Waddington, and her brand is called En Voyage Perfumes. I think in Europe, this is not heard of a lot, but in the States, you've probably heard of it. It's still available, this fragrance. This fragrance is unbelievably beautiful. I mean, it is just to die for. It smells like, the puffs you get from a night blooming tree. You're on your way home from a night out and in the summer, and it just kind of hits you. It's just really, really beautiful. Oh, but I never wear it. It's just, I don't know if it's too beautiful, too boring, what it is. I take it out and sniff the top, and I really appreciate like having it in my collection. But I'm just like, it isn't. I wouldn't wear it. Like, I don't wear it, ever. I show it to people, and they're like, oh my God, this smells so good, and they want it, but I don't wear it. You can't, another reason, argument number 3, you cannot display the beautiful bottles. So if you have a bottle like this, no one will see it, not even you, because if it's going to be stored properly, you need to put it away from sunlight. So that's another way to think about, like, is it worth, because a lot of the cost, I think, of a product, a perfume product, goes into the bottle. Some are very simple, but some are really like, this is a pretty advanced bottle. I bet this cost a fortune. Like half the price, half the cost might be this thing right here. This is supposed to symbolize, by the way, the window of the studio where they create the fragrances, which I think is a really cute detail. But I mean, no one sees that fragrance ever. So it's really all about the juice. Number 4, if it's an odd fragrance or if it's a covered bottle. In this covered bottle, you can see how much is left. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it anyway. But sometimes the bottle is black, and it could be, like the Born to Stand Out fragrances are white. There's no way of seeing how much is in there. It could be really hard to sell it if you don't like it anymore. Number 5, sometimes, this has really surprised me. Someone wrote to me and pointed it out. Sometimes samples can be cheaper than buying the bottle. Per like volume unit. Per milliliter. For example, Ceylon from Xerjoff is cheaper than buying the full bottle. So you could actually just buy 10 samples and just use those rather than buy the full bottle. So check that out. Sometimes samples are pretty cheap. Number 6. It's a lot of bound capital. The money is just sitting there, and it could be, you could put this money to better use. You can invest it on the stock market. I really try to use my fragrances. I never want to have full, especially not 100 ml bottles. So I try to when I go to someone's house, I'll bring some decants. I've been to a few graduation parties around the block, and this one person, I know she likes perfume. I gave her a few decants kind of with the present. So the volume of my bottles is slowly going down. I'm using them, to make other people happy, because I know that I won't use them all. And now on Saturday, I'm getting prepared for a big perfume meetup. I don't know if you can see, this room is huge. Probably you can't really see it, but it's a really nice room to have. We're going to be 25 people this time. And I was thinking we're going to all be outside, but it's going to be really hot. Because one of the problems when I have these meetups is that the house smells really strongly of perfume when everyone's left. It's and my kids come home and they're really overwhelmed. And I have one kid who's really sensitive to perfume. So it's a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to try to make people spray outdoors. But a lot of people that I don't even know are coming, and it's going to be great fun. And someone's bringing some vintage stuff. It'll be great fun to smell those, and some artisan stuff and things that you can't get a hold of in Swedish stores. So that will be fun. But the bound capital, yeah, I mean, once you take off the cellophane, the value goes down. It's just like, you know, when you drive a car out of the car place, the price goes, you know, the value of it goes way down. The minute it can't be returned, it no longer holds that value. And some fragrances are hyped and some aren't. Some don't even sell secondhand. So keep that in mind. Okay, number 7. Even if there's a special campaign or if it's like 25% off, it will come again. Oh, now that people are coming back home. You can find it secondhand was number 8. I've got to finish. Can you please close the door? Can you please close the door? Sorry about that. Okay, you can find it secondhand. It's not true with everything. I've really tried to find cacao porcelana secondhand. It's just not happening. I had the chance, but I blew it. Someone else bought it, and like no one is talking about it. I think it's kind of an odd fragrance. So that's something to take into consideration. To buy, and they only have it in 100 ml. I can get a decant 10 milliliter from this Czech website. I might do that. Number 9, if you swap, you won't lose as much money. So don't buy. Maybe you can swap with someone, you know. Those are a little bit tricky. But I think it's all about like to be able to kind of like wait when there's a special sale or campaign or it's marked down. It takes a lot of discipline, but waiting makes a lot of financial sense. Like I can have it, but I can't have it today. That's a trick that that has really worked for me. Because if I wait, I might find it at a cheaper price. I might find it secondhand. I might get sick of it. I might have other things on my wish list that I would prefer to buy, etc. So just waiting. That's one of my top recommendations. Just wait. Don't get it now. And number 10, full bottles are really heavy. Like when you're traveling, it's just really inconvenient to bring a whole bottle. And I know, of course, you could spray some into a decant, but travel size. You know, go travel size. I know it's a lot more expensive per mil, but it's really, really worth it in many cases. So, yeah, those were my recommendations for, you know, not buying full bottle perfumes. If you're really into the juice, maybe you can just buy samples, or you can, and sometimes that's enough. Once you've consumed like 2-3 mils, you're done. You know, you're ready to move on to the next thing. Okay, I better let the girls come in here. My daughter just came home with a bunch of people. I'll see you in the next video, guys.